babies. It's Mother Love, Dr. Mother Love, baby. How you doing today? And Mr. Kennedy. We got some stuff to talk about. The convention, what happened, backlash that other people got from the convention. First, let's find out what was your.
Hi, babies. It's Mother Love, Dr. Mother Love.
Baby, what's wrong with this?
No, nothing's wrong. No, that was on my end.
Oh, I was going to say I'm talking to myself now. Okay. What was your take on the DNC convention on day 3? I mean, because it was a powerhouse. He had a star-studded lineup.
I mean, every night. I mean, that's what a convention is for. You bring out your stars. You bring out people that people are familiar with to hear their stories, to hear what they have to say. You know, on pitching why, the Democratic Party feel that they will be the best ones to lead this country for the next 4 years if we choose to vote them into office. And the fact that I think they're doing a magnificent job on showing the human side of America. That it's not this nastiness that you calling people out their names constantly. I mean, when you say that you're intelligent,
before we get into that part, can we just talk about the convention from yesterday and what you felt about that, and then we can go.
Well, that's what I was telling you how I felt about it. Okay, you asked me. I'm telling you what I thought about the convention, about how the tone that the convention is having about being nice. I'm telling you what I think about it. They're showing you the side that they want America to see. People showing the human side of the Democratic Party, because they're trying to pull on your heartstrings to get you to see that they would be a far better choice than the other side, because the other side constantly being nasty, saying nasty things, derogatory things about the people that are running. That's why I see the contrast and what's being seen on a nightly basis right now. This will be the 4th night tonight, but the last night was a continuation of the 2 nights before, of us seeing the fact that they're telling you that this is what we will do to help women. This is what we will do to help union labor workers. This is what we would do to help the average person. This is what we would do to help women. That's what I saw them continue that conversation last night, and to bring on the vice. To bring on Coach Tim, to come up and give his speech last night, which I thought was a fantastic
speech for the vice presidency.
Yes, that he came up and talked about what he felt that people need to hear from his heart, what he's been doing with his life, and that he's been in the military, so he knows what it is to have structure, that he's been a football coach, that he knows what it takes to be able to lead young men. He also led men in the Army, but the fact that he was able to come home and be able to coach young men to help them have a better life, to have a better focus, that he's showing you that he's a family person. He's been with his wife. The fact that, if you're looking for a family-oriented group to lead the country, you want somebody who care about the average person. And he is an average person, but except for the fact that he happens to be the governor of Minnesota. I mean, even though he still is a person that we should want and need to be in government.
I think you're right about that. And so was Kamala Harris when her kids got up there to speak. When her husband spoke the other day, and the fact that she is in a blended family and they work well. I mean, to hear that his ex-wife, her husband Doug's ex-wife, and she and he and the children all get along. One of the kids called them the 3-headed parenting monster. And I thought, how cool was that? Because they're all on the same page. And it was a great way to show from the top down or the bottom up that you can make a difference when you do see other people struggling. I mean, I had never heard of Tim Walz. I call him out. He's the governor of Minnesota. Amy Klobuchar, she's the one put besides Jesse Ventura when he the mayor or the governor of Minnesota.
The governor of Minnesota.
The governor of Minnesota, to show that coming from humble beginnings, ought not stop your dream from growing. And when he said he came from a small town, it was like, everybody knew everybody else's business, and the fact that they were neighborly to each other, and we've lost that sense of our village, having that village around all of us. And I felt like he and all the speakers were talking about that, us coming together collectively, as a party, as a people, and as Americans, as people, because it's not just us, you guys. It's not just us watching us. The world is watching us, and how we react and how we respond and what we will do. And, will we have that call to action? Will we get up and say, okay, we in a dog fight. Let me get up and find out what I need to do, because I do have skin in the game. And to show that he like somebody's dad. He is somebody's dad. And she's somebody's parents. And, like we said, the nasty comments that have been coming, I would just say, don't hate, celebrate. Don't hate, congratulate. And if you're going to hate, go sit over there in the corner someplace, because you obviously don't care about this country. You can have all the lip service in the world that you want, but are you going to get up like First Lady Michelle Obama, former First Lady, got up and said, you don't like it? Do something. Knock on doors, make phone calls, talk to your friends, talk to your neighbors, talk to your family, talk to people that is hard to talk to, because we need to have these difficult conversations in order for us to get this out, so we can get this up and we can do the work. I was very encouraged by their speeches, and made me want to vote for them, Kamala and Tim, all the more. And I mean, you could see the emotion on people in that stadium, in that auditorium, in that building. Every time the camera panned to a different section, you could see the commonness in all of us. You could see where they were there in one accord. And what was cool about it on the other day was Madam Vice President was in Milwaukee, at a function, and it was packed to the rafters too, just like it was in Chicago. And the fact that we can do this collectively. This is is it scalable? Yes, this is scalable, because we see and we know what we need to do. We know that we need to get as many people registered to vote. We need people to get up and go vote, and we need to have an open conversation. And sometimes people think, they're going to be difficult. They're going to be difficult. And when you have the difficult conversations to get into, you got to remember, don't be fighting people and nitpicking, stop and try to have that, work to have that. And I try work to have that common ground. And all the time, we don't have to agree. We need to be cordial and respectful of other people's opinion, and hopefully we can change some minds. We can bring in some new people. I mean, when Oprah came up, she looked like a million bucks. She make it look good. And when she came up and she said, talked about her growing up, and she talked about the young girls who were killed because they wanted to get an education, and the young Black girl who had to go to the school with a National Guard surrounding her because people were so racist. They did not believe that this little young Black girl deserved to be educated and not be educated with little white kids. And to still be going through that in this day and age, it's not as bad as it was. We can still do better. We can still do better. We can be smarter. We can do better, and we can make smarter and better choices. And I think that's what a lot of people around the world envy about the United States, because we do have choices. And now do you want a regime that's going to, and that's what they want to be, a regime to take away your fundamental rights to be free in this country according to the Constitution, when they letting us know, throwing it in our face, I don't care nothing about your Constitution. I don't care nothing about you and voting rights. You're going to do what we tell you to do. And it's just like, what's the chant? We won't go back. We won't go back.
That's the chant. We won't go back.
We won't go back. We need to go forward. And I appreciate all of them. We don't forget about what happened yesterday. We just don't have to repeat it today and tomorrow. We could do better. We got 24 hours in a day. Let's work them day by day, hour by hour, and understand that we do have skin in this game. And and it was just getting real. I was really disappointed. I'm still disappointed in the fact that, the next, probably last night and the next day, where people were online talking about Tim and Gwen's 17-year-old son in such in such a nasty, visceral way. This is a kid, 17 years old, who does not mind wearing his feelings on his sleeve. And I see where he got that from. That's from his father. Because when Tim came out, first time he was introduced on the big stage, he was so humble, you know, and you could see that he didn't mind wearing his feelings on his sleeve. Let you know, oh, this is they said that he's a new kind of masculinity. That he was vulnerable enough to open up about the issues of fertility that he and his wife were dealing with. And when the three people came up the other day, the husband and wife, the mother, the young African American mother, and the young white girl, just shows you across the board. Take out all of that, all the color, all the everything, and talk about their shared experiences. We don't know. You know, we got people out here popping babies out like it's, you know, like popcorn. And we have people that we know who desperately want to start a family and that to have access to IVF. And that's what Tim said. He said, my wife and I, we struggled with infertility. We struggled with infertility. And when we got our firstborn and they baby girl, and they said they named her Hope because she gave them hope. And they had the hope to started their family. I mean, we saw him on a roller coaster with his daughter, and it was off the chain. Just such a approachable person. Can you imagine having approachable people running the White House and, you know, running the country who actually get up every day and want to know how they can make your day better, how they could do, what can they do to help your life get better, get smoother? Yeah, because life gonna kick you behind. You can act like, you know, I don't know what this is. You can act like whatever way you want to act like, but let me tell you something. Life is going to kick you in the buttocks. I don't care. Sometimes it'll kick you in your teeth, kick you in your groin, kick you in your shin. You got to have enough metal in your personality, a strong enough foundation from your familiar ground, a strong foundation for you to grow, build. We're going to make mistakes. Sometimes you get pushed off your foundation. The key is getting up and continuing. Yeah, life gonna whoop your behind. But for me, it ain't gonna be no easy win. And we know that this election is not going to be an easy win. Yes, it's been beautiful and the concerts and, you know, all the big powerhouse people. It's what you do when all this is over. What you do after the confetti fall down, after the balloons fall down. What are you going to do now? I liken it to I don't know, this might be a bad metaphor, but you know how when people pass away in your circle and everybody is there, you know, the first day, the first week, maybe the first 2 weeks, 3 months down the line, you know, you off their radar. That's why you have to keep saying and bringing it up. I heard somebody say what? Go ahead.
Okay, you said, okay, you're off their radar after 3 months. Well, you're usually only off somebody's radar if the two of you do not communicate from the start. If you don't call somebody, if you're not already communicating with someone because somebody else passed, how would that make you automatically start communicating with the person that you weren't already talking to anyway? You just saw them at the service or at the repast, and then if you start a conversation or at that time and place, but then you say 3 months later, where do they go? Well, it's because
maybe I gave it a lot of give time. Sometimes it's shorter than 3 months.
Well, it means that you didn't pick up the phone, nor they picked up the phone to stay in touch. You know, every time when you're sitting back saying, "Well, I haven't heard from this person." Well, if you didn't hear from them, how did they know that? Did you pick up the phone and say, "I haven't heard from you. What's going on in your life? I can tell you what's going on in my life." That's called communication. When we sit back and wait for somebody to call and say, "Well, I ain't gonna call them; they gotta call me." Well, then, do you really want to communicate with that person? If you're saying, "Okay, I'm not gonna call them; I'm gonna wait for them to call me," and if they don't call, well, then we just don't talk.
And then
how close were they?
Further and further apart.
How close were you then at all? If you're waiting for them to do the calling, or they're waiting for you to do the calling, what kind of real friendship is it? Is that just an acquaintance?
You're right. And even women now, even family has done that. You know, if like say a grandfather died, I remember when our grandfather died. I can remember my granddaddy, my mother's father. And when he passed away, I mean, I had never seen that many people in that space at one time. And everybody was just, they brought their kids and their grandkids and, everybody, that's why we have a repast. And I just said, I'm not going to be mourning people's death. I'm going to celebrate their life. And they used to think I was some kind of weirdo.
Do you go to family reunions then?
Yeah.
So you can't. So okay.
Yep.
If you say you don't want to go to the repast because that's a sad time. Well, yes, it is a sad time, but it's also a chance for renewal of kinship. Okay, somebody you have not seen. Well, then stop and take the time and say, okay, I'm not going to have to wait until somebody else passed before I see you or hear from you again.
And that's what's important. We needed support after that, and that's the importance of building and maintaining communication with family and friends, because it can be over. Hakeem Jeffries. I just have to. He was off the hook. That's for you, Hakeem Jeffries. He's the house. He gonna be the house. He said, he said that the 45th was like an old boyfriend that you break up with, but he gonna never go away. He always circling in the neighborhood, looking to see who you talking to, figuring out a way, how maybe they can get back in your good graces or whatever. But you tore he didn't say you tore your drawers with us, but the 45th tore his drawers with millions of people. And he said, I liken it to an ex-boyfriend. And he said, it's the reason why we broke up with you. We don't like you. You're abusive. You're a liar. So you ain't got to come back. This is never going to happen again. You will always be an ex-boyfriend. And some guys, they can't take that. Some guys can't know. If I can't have you, won't nobody have you. I remember a dude said that to me one time. And I said, wait a minute. You do know who my family is, right? You do know that they are armed. You do know that they will hurt you. You just look me in the eye and tell me that you know that this will happen. We are about peace. We're about harmony. We're about love and joy. Don't get on the wrong side, and don't you mess with my children. Don't you mess with my nieces and nephews. The Black Women of Wellness, they got a group for, inside of their organization called Fierce Aunties. And see, that's another thing. Fierce Aunties, they'll kill a rock, drown a drop of water about you. So that's why it's important when you get a relationship and they deserve cultivating. Also be mindful enough to know when they're not going to be a good person. When you find out, because lying liars, they can't keep the lie straight. And they coming up with all kind of new stuff. And back to all this new stuff, back to the convention. I just want to bring this up because this is important. We have so many young people and adults who are dealing with mental health issues, anxiety, attention deficit disorder. That doesn't make them not be a part of society. They are part of society. They are part of our fabric. And as the adults in the room, we ought to learn how to embrace them. Let them know that we see them and they see us. Start a dialogue if you don't have it. And for you people out there who got online yesterday and today bitching, moaning, whining, complaining like a petulant child and ridiculing a young man, a 17-year-old child, something is wrong with him. Here was Governor Walz saying that he and his wife, they struggled with infertility. They did what they could do. And to ridicule this young man, I mean, if you got kids, when you have kids, how would you feel if somebody said that something to your child? How would you feel? See, okay, y'all, he took my knife, because if that was me, somebody would be getting nicked with a rusty knife. How dare you talk about these children like this? People, and 9 chances out of 9 chances, your behind ain't nowhere near perfect either. Something could be wrong with you that others people in society say, "Ooh, look at them. Why you got that big knot on your head? Why your teeth look like that? Why you look funny like that?" What? Stop. Even kids in a playground don't act like this. You put some babies in a sandbox and all they want to know is, they don't care what you speak and what you look like. All they want to know is, when is my turn? And they play together. They had a slogan when we were in school, and you actually got graded on it. Remember this one? This was in elementary school. Works well and plays with others.
Yeah.
But it's put that. Do they work well and play with others? And a lot of people haven't even heard of that. And for you all to sit there with your little tiny mind, because you're too afraid to go out and see what's going on in the real world. You just looking at the television and listening to some other person ridicule a child. Just when I thought they couldn't go any lower, because I thought they had already went to the lowest of the low. They went down so low to me, ridiculing this child, because what you do to one of us, you do to all of us. And you ridicule this child, ridicule their parents. You see this on national, worldwide television. You do not have the cojones to come up and say it to their face. See, that's when I know you're a coward. That's when I know you're a chump. That's when I know you are okie doke. Because you got something to say to me, say it to my face. Tell it to my face. They don't do it. They can hide behind the internet. They can hide behind their mama apron string. That's an apron ring. Apron strings. And y'all just need to get up out the gutter and get into the real game and get into the real world. Also, they got mad. Well, they start ridiculing him because he was crying and showing him. I was crying when he was there. He was just clapping. That's my dad. That's my dad. How many of y'all get to say that's your dad? How many of you get to stand up and say to the world, that's my dad? Show your emotions. I'm so proud of my father. You know what it says to me? People that do that, they hate themselves. Because they don't want to look inside of here. They don't want to go deep into their spirit to say, how they might have been abused and mistreated and how they did not get that kind of love. And that's mother love. And I just want to say this. I have mother love. We don't call Mr. Kennedy father love. We call him King Kennedy. Nonetheless, when you don't get your mother love like you deserve, like you're supposed to, you don't get your father love like you're supposed to, and oftentimes these parents cannot teach what they don't know because of their parents didn't show them compassion. Their parents didn't show them empathy. Their parents didn't say, okay, I made a mistake. I'm sorry. So they just let the kids run out here and be all wild and undisciplined. And I don't know if y'all heard this before, you adults that are being so racist and hateful and homophobic and, want to have all the money and make all the rules. I want to know who died and left y'all boss. That's all I want to know. Who died and left you? Who died and said that you get to do whatever you want to do when you want to do it? And I know you might not think that, but rich people, you can't take it with you. I'm just saying. And the fact that they ridiculed a child or anybody who is willing and is open enough to show their human emotion, and you look at it like weakness, because people mistake kindness for weakness. And that's why when Governor Walz said, don't underestimate a public school teacher, because they know what the deal is. So then this is another thing. Okay, we're moving on to the next thing, because we get so much misinformation. No, before we even go to that part, what did you think when you saw them and people were saying, he a weakling. Why is he up there crying like that? Why is he making all that kind of noise? And do you think that Governor Walz has added a new kind of masculinity, a modern day masculinity to the fold?
No, I don't think he's added something new, because if you care about your child, that's nothing new. Mm-hmm. And to say, did he show emotions with his son? I mean, most people, if you are a caring person and you have a child, whether it's a boy or a girl, hopefully you do show them some kind of emotion, and that they can show you some kind of emotion that shows the bond that you have between the two of you. And if you don't have that, then that's something different. But the fact that, we live in an age now of cowards, that if you can put something out on the internet, in a sense, you feel it's anonymous. Okay, I don't know that you're saying this evil thing. Whether you truly really mean it or not, or you just simply saying it because you want to get people's attention. A lot of times that happens. You just want people to see your tweet or your post, and so you say something that you hope will get somebody's attention.
But okay, and they oftentimes say, there's no such thing as bad publicity. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And in this era of cancel culture, when they put stuff on the internet and then other people on the internet say, well, we're going to not buy your product. We want to, for one thing, everybody make mistakes. We all sin and fall short of the glory of God. Whomever you conceive God to be. You can't never be bigger than the God you say that you worship, say that you honor, say that he'll keep you on the right path because you got rules and regulations, and actions that you can follow. And then you don't. I mean, I believe that God, I believe what they said. I believe God is an awesome God. I believe he reigns on heaven and earth. I believe the energy is so powerful. And my mother used to say, I have enough in my head on a bad day than you'll ever have in your head, simply because I've been here longer than you have. And I didn't understand it at first, but now I do. And to want to ridicule a child and a man who shows his son love, only reason why they upset because maybe your daddy didn't show you love. I was watching this, read this on the internet. And it was this racist white guy. And he said, I was a racist white guy. And I'm just going to tell you, that's it. He got tattoos all up here. And he was in prison. And when he got out of prison, he had an African-American lady social worker. And he said the first conversation that they had, and when he left, he said, I knew something wasn't right because he was raised to be a neo-Nazi. He was raised to take that hatred forward in the United States. And she just, after all the conversations, she broke him down to his human capacity. And when they put the picture up on the internet, he tall and lanky with tattoos everywhere. She fit up under his armpit. And, she looked like one of them kind of sisters that if you saw her and a bear in a fight, you get a bear stick. And he said, I just want to let y'all know that I was taught wrong and I see the light. And he said, she never criticized him. She never raised her voice. And the more he came to see her, the more she could see his walls coming down. And he said, if I can do anything to let you know about what true friendship is, what true compassion is, I want you to look at her and look at me and know that if you mean you can change. Look at her and know that there's somebody willing to talk to you. And I think that's a lot of problems with people. We got all this instant gratification. We got the internet. We got the cell phone. We got everything instant. And people are still lost and lonely because they still feel disconnected. And I believe that we can't let all this technology, take away our humanness. We simply cannot allow that. And we have to stand up and we have to speak up and we have to show up. And it's not just me and you, it's all of us collectively. Let's talk about the people that are hard to talk to. They always say the people that you love, they're easy to love. Let me tell you what real agape love is. Love when you love somebody when they don't love you back. And maybe you want to be there and help break those walls down to open up that line of communication. And sometimes people just don't want to let go of the hurt and the pain and the abuse because that's all they know. And they don't know joy. And they don't know compassion and empathy. And I think that's a sad commentary for human beings to not know that somebody loves you, that they see you, and they want to be there with you. I'd rather somebody tell me, if I see somebody and I can feel them in distress or see them in distress, and I come up and say, baby, what can I do for you? How can I help you? Or what's wrong? I would rather they say, none of your business. That for me, and I step away out of respect, I would rather get that than to not say anything at all, because you never know how you gonna be of service to somebody else. We went into the grocery store just the other day, and I want to give a big shout out to the employees, the members of Sprouts. I had never been into a Sprouts, and it wasn't, don't get me wrong, the display and everything was lovely. What really touched me about going into that store, from time we walked over their threshold to time we left, I felt like I was among friends. Everybody was
Okay.
helpful. They helped us look for things.
Okay.
They laughed and joked. The kids were cool. We had a baby on the loose, and the mother said, anytime he can get run away from me, he gone. And just to see how comfortable this kid was, that because you could feel the atmosphere. And we don't have good customer service in this country anymore. And I just want to say to the people who run Sprouts, all the big cheeses and all the people that keep your stores fresh and clean, thank you. And I don't give out plugs like that just all willy-nilly, but you all deserve to be recognized, and I will shop there again. Okay. I want to pivot to a situation that a reporter at NPR, she's on public television. I never would have even thought about this from the public television, but Judy Woodruff, a reporter there, said that the 45th president had been on the phone with the prime minister of Israel saying that, okay, I don't want you to go through this ceasefire. Okay, because this will help the Harris campaign too much, and we don't want to give Biden no credit for helping in the getting peace in the Middle East. So don't do it. First of all, you ain't even in public office. How dare you call anybody? Second of all, how you gonna tell the prime minister of anybody anything what to do because you concerned about an election? Because now, if that were the case, that that is really spewing wrong. Well, come to find out that the reporter wrote this report, said that he was talking to that the 45th was talking to Netanyahu, and then come to find out that wasn't the case. This is what happened. What
actually happened?
The reporting is that okay, let me go here. This is
PBS, thank you.
Senior correspondent. She apologized yesterday after falsely telling her audience that former President 45th tried to talk Israel out of a ceasefire amid of its ongoing war in Gaza. Judy Woodruff passed off the blame for the blunder. Now you ain't gonna take it. By clarifying that she based the flimsy scoop on outside reporting that she had read before broadcasting from the Democratic National Convention in Chicago on Monday. The reporting is that, and I'm getting this from where are we getting this from? Reuters, I think. Okay. From Reuters.
You got that off of Yahoo News.
Off of Yahoo, okay. And
you get that from Yahoo News.
Okay. She passed off the blame for the blunder by clarifying that she based a flimsy scoop on outside reporting she had read before broadcasting from the DNC. The reporting is that the former 45th is on the phone with the Prime Minister Netanyahu, and that she believed that what I just told you about him telling the Prime Minister don't do it because he believed it would help the Harris campaign. Okay, then Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of Israel, his office told the Jerusalem Post on Wednesday that Woodruff's statements were a complete lie. I mean, okay, a complete lie. Then the actual story Woodruff was referring to was published August 14 and cited two sources who claimed the 45th, 78, spoke on the phone with Netanyahu, 74, about the Gaza hostage and ceasefire deal.
Okay, well, they would have spoke about that. Now, no, maybe she cannot clarify exactly what was said, but I mean, it doesn't take a genius to stop and think. What are some of the issues that you would be talking to him about? He's not the president of the United States. He's only running for office, and the fact that yes, talking to him there's nothing wrong with you talking to him while he's running for office, because if he won the election, you would have to be dealing with him as the next president. So to talk to him, there's nothing wrong with talking to him. Do we know what they were talking about or what was said? Now that's a whole nother story in itself. I mean, do you honestly think that the Prime Minister of Israel would have came out and said, yes, that's what we discussed? That would be foolish on his part to even suggest that, even if that's what they actually talked about.
Mm-hmm.
For you to actually admit that, yes, that's what we were talking about, it's insane to even think that he would have come out and said, yes, that's what we were talking about. No, the fact that they probably talked about it because that's part of what's happening right now. So you're not just calling them up and say, "Hey, how you doing? What you been up to lately?" You've
Oh,
been
I
out
just
on the
got a
golf
war
course.
going on against the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Okay, so we killed up a bunch of them, their babies, their children, bombed their hospitals. Okay, what? Okay.
So you're not calling there. You just simply not calling just to be calling. You calling
You
because
have an agenda.
agenda enough that there's a okay. You're talking. Oh, what do you think if this happens? What do you think if that happens? Between now and the election, because if he doesn't win, then all you're talking to him about is mute. If you're not talking about what might happen if you happen to get elected, which way would you take
Well, he
United
already in
States?
his tribe have already said, the 45th had always said that the Jews will not replace us, and they went, got Nazi flags hanging all out and stumbled coming down with torches, tiki torches on fire, and he already, and this is what I don't get. How you gonna claim you hate Jewish people when you got Jewish grandchildren? Did you forget who your daughter was married to?
So once again, I mentioned to you on more than one occasion. There's called you can love and hate all at the same time. People do love you, and then if they think you did something wrong to them, can hate you the next second, but then be back and love you the next second.
That sounds like
love and hate. It's not, because we all have emotions. We go from good to bad. If you're happy, then you're not thinking bad thoughts. But when you're angry, you do think bad thoughts. I mean, one of the things that is prevalent is that even at Trump's last rally, they had KKK members out there with signs walking around saying, did they support Trump and that they love Hitler? Okay, he's not denouncing that. So, it doesn't matter that you say, well, did he know that he have Jewish grandkids?
The leader of North Korea, Vladimir Putin, the guy down in Venezuela. I mean, it's all these dictators that he be shaking hands with. And if you all don't see that this is a treasonous act, that you will go and shake hands with the enemy.
Okay, wait a minute.
And shake hands with the enemy, and you still think he all right?
Okay, first of all, no matter who's president, even if Miss Harris becomes the next president of the United States, what I wanted to go and talk to Putin, what I wanted to talk to the
Kim Jong-un,
North Korea, to the prime minister, to the president of China. Yes, I mean, once again, we caught up in the thing on where I'm being told to hate somebody. I don't even know you, but I've been told to hate you and that I can't trust you. It only takes one person to start shooting off a nuclear warhead that we all may die in an instant because we don't want to talk to one another.
Okay, we're all gonna die. All living things die.
Okay, so are you rushing it because you don't want to talk to somebody? You're rushing it because you don't want to talk to somebody? But part of all of this is that I've asked you this a lot of times. As kids, we were told to hate Russians, to hate communists, no matter where they are in the world. Half of us didn't even know what a communist was. But you were told to hate somebody that you didn't even know.
You don't even know.
You couldn't like this person.
That's why so many people when we were growing up. That's why so many people when we were growing up denounced the war in Vietnam. We didn't know them people that had never done anything to me. Like Muhammad Ali said, what I look at, he said the greatest of all time, pugilist like ever. The late great Muhammad Ali said to the draft board, he said, I'm not going over there and kill some Viet Cong. I don't even know them people. They ain't never called me out of my name. They ain't never told me I couldn't live where I wanted to live. Why would I want to put on a gun and go fight for you? You ain't did nothing for me either. They stripped him of his boxing license. They stripped him of his titles. He said, knock yourself out because if I'm not going. Okay. I'm not going. They called them conscientious objectors. And I remember
I get that.
Wait a minute, we talking over each other.
Okay, Mother Love. I understand that. Okay, Mother Love, I understand that. What I'm saying is that you would hope that everybody is not a conscientious objector, so you have no soldiers in your army because everybody said, okay, well, I have a reason not to fight. I mean, hopefully everybody does not say that.
No, they don't, because we have a stand. We have from what I have heard is the United States military has the best military in the world. I'm like, in the whole world, we got the best military. We got the best ammunition. We got the best. Well, we must have because we keep shipping equipment over there to them, tanks and what have you. So we must have. And and there are people. I come from a military family. My grandfather, my father, my brothers, my uncles, my cousins, my next generation cousins have all been in the military from, Army, the Navy, the Marines, the Air Force. One of our cousins was a fighter pilot, and they was like, way back in the day, they wouldn't let black people fly, well, except for the
but that was way back in the day. So if he was a fighter pilot, if he was a fighter pilot, he did in a flying.
Wait a minute, say it again. So
if he was a fighter pilot, he did fly.
Right, he did.
Because you said they didn't let black people fly. Yes, they did because he couldn't have been a pilot.
Right.
Okay. See, some things we say things without saying, okay, wait a minute. What happened 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago? That's part of the history. Right. What we're trying to do now is to tell people you don't want to go back. No, you want to continue to go forward because constantly want to say you're evil, you're good, you're bad. I base it on your religion, whether you're a good person or a bad person. That's man deciding about another man simply because you don't believe what I believe. I have a question for you. If you had been born in the Middle East, what religion would you probably be believing in?
Whatever my parents at the time said to do. Okay. Same thing in America.
That's same thing if you grew up in China. If you were born in China,
you follow rules and regulations.
Okay, if you grew up in India. The point that I'm making is that when we sit back here,
that's why a lot of them come over here with us, y'all, so they could practice their religion the way they want, worship like they want.
And the fact that if we got past religion and saying that because you worship this way, I worship that way, that we have to hate each other, dislike each other, then you end up having a lot more wars because you simply draw those battle lines and saying simply, if I'm in this religion and you in that religion, I have to automatically hate you. Okay,
but wait a minute.
Well, that is the truth. It's the truth.
Hold on. Wait a minute. Isn't or hasn't Israel and the Middle East and all these other countries over there, Iran and Iraq? I mean, they all. Oh, I just lost my thought. It just went right out of my. It'll come back.
You was asking about all these different countries over there. The same thing applies to them. Okay, if you're Muslim and you're Jewish,
but they be fighting. Okay. What happened to the Sunnis and the who was they fighting over there inside their own community?
Okay, once again, religion. You believe this, you follow this book. I follow that book. I follow this teacher. I mean, we all know. Okay, if you can follow the Quran and you can be a Sunni or a Shiite Muslim.
Shiite, that's
okay. Progressive or old school, basically. Okay, here in America, okay, the majority of us are Christians, but you have Presbyterians, you have Catholics, you have Christians, you have Baptists,
you have the Lutherans, the Episcopalians.
Okay, so we all women, but we all believe in Christ. Even though you say, okay, I want to believe in Christ through this teaching. I want to believe in Christ through these teachings.
So you're saying that
Christ but you still all believe in Christ.
Are you saying that the religious factors only pick out of the Bible, or that's whatever's going to suit them? And for that, I mean, because remember they were talking about the King James version. The King James changed the whole Bible. That's why it's the King James version of the Bible. But men wrote that.
Okay, but why did he change it?
Because he wanted to get a divorce from his wife.
He didn't want to go by the rules in the Old Testament.
So since I got the power, I'm gonna write my own book. I'm gonna make my own Bible.
That's what I just said about people taking their own version. When you ask why are they fighting one another, it's because you start reading this book and you say, okay, based on this book, I believe this way. You read your book and you say, I believe it based on what I read in this book.
Mm-hmm.
As a child, most of the time you don't get an option to decide, okay, I want to read this book, or I want to read that book, because if you go to church or temple or synagogue, wherever you go, your parents are taking you. So it's not your choice.
Right.
It's their choice and how they believe and how they want to indoctrinate you to believe.
Right.
Because that's what they're taking you to church, having you to read their Bible about
Following rules and
how
regulations. And see, we grew up in a house like that. Before our father passed away, he the six of us, before he passed away, well, our thing was, you get up on Sunday morning, early Sunday morning, you shower, shampoo, and the kids had to take their baths the night before. So all you gotta do is get up and wash your face and brush your teeth, put your clothes on, shine your black patent leather shoes or your loafers or whatever it was. And we had to get up and go to church. We had to go to Sunday. We had to go to Sunday school. Now the big church was not mandatory, but it was mandatory. No questions asked.
You said big
walk into church. Okay, so Sunday school was first. And then, say Sunday school was at, we'll say 8:30 to 9 to 10 o'clock. Then the grown-ups coming to the church to go into the big sanctuary. And you could either go home or you stayed there with the adults. So most of us opted to go home because we was already in Sunday school.
I don't recall that. I don't recall that you would allow your kids to go home and be at home by themselves.
Oh no, I didn't say we was at home by ourselves. We always had an adult in the house.
You said they can leave. I mean,
we could leave because there was an adult in the house or adults in the house.
Okay, so I was kind of confused.
No, we weren't going to be. No, that wasn't going to happen. And so, for those of us who came home from church and everything, so my father asked us. Our great grandmother was living with us at the time. And she would ask, so what was the sermon? What did the teacher teach you today, baby? What did you learn that you didn't know on last Sunday or yesterday? We had to sit down and tell her what we learned. And so one day, I can't remember what had happened. Oh no, I asked my dad. I said, well, Daddy, how come all of us got to go to church but you? Because the big kids could go to church with our mother. And I'm like, how come you don't come and go to church with us? He said, because I don't believe in God. That's the first time I ever heard the word atheist, because he said, I don't believe in God. I said, I don't know. He said, I don't believe in God. My great grandmother walked past him and I heard her. She said, ain't no atheist in the foxhole. So I got to find out what an atheist is and a foxhole. And I didn't know what it meant, but as I grew older, I knew what it meant. You could say you don't believe in God the whole 9 yards. You was raised the whole way. This is your life. You going on your own on the universe. I believe in the elements and the environment and whatever it is you believe in, but it's not a supreme being. And so when I found out what an atheist was, and I said again, maybe a couple of weeks back, I said, well, Daddy, do you have to be an atheist? He said, well, that's just what I am. I said, well, I want to be an atheist too. He looked at me like, look, girl, you ain't got nothing to say about this. You taking your little narrow red-haired self to Sunday school every Sunday. And when he passed away, we still had to go every day on Sunday. And she was right, my great-grandmother. There are no atheists in the foxhole. I don't care what faith you in. I don't care what religion you in. What religion you in. You ain't no atheist in the foxhole. You could be in a world of trouble and you could see people behind, oh, Lord Jesus. How many old Lord Jesus is it? Only one I heard of. So I was on a plane and I was terrified of flying. And I had to take my first plane ride by myself, going to my very first movie shoot down in Miami, Florida. And our mother had just passed away. We had her funeral service on that Friday, and I left that next Monday, right after Mother's Day, and I was just so distraught because I was surprising her for her birthday to bring her out to Miami with me to be on the movie set, and I'm on the plane. We flying from Cleveland. We on our way to Miami. It's a nonstop flight, so I'm sitting there by the window and I'm holding the chair like I could rip this arm out of this airplane, and I'm holding on to it so tight. Then the plane hit turbulence. We got to bouncing up and down, and so we started bouncing up and down, and it wasn't working. And the pilot said, "Everybody back to your seats. We're experiencing some heavy turbulence, and the plane is jumping up and down like this." And literally, that's why I want to sit over the wing. Literally, I start praying, Lord Jesus, Father God, all power is in your hand. Oh, Lord Jesus, you got control. You in the cockpit. He is your co-pilot. You the pilot. And I'm just praying. I don't even realize I'm praying out loud as I was. The whole plane was quiet. There were three rabbis and they were in full dress, and they were sitting all on one seat, sitting on with the three in the seat. And so behind them was this very racist man. And all of a sudden, I'm praying and praying. And I didn't realize I was praying this line until he said, "Shut up. Don't nobody want to hear about your shut up, my love, about your Jesus." And the rabbis almost in unison turned around and looked at him and said, "You need to shut up and let her pray." Well, we ended up landing in Milwaukee.
Well, yeah, because you're here to tell the story. So we know you survived.
I saw my mother's face right outside the wing. Just like she was like right here, and I'm looking out the window, and I couldn't hear her, but I saw her mouth, and she said, "It's okay. You're safe. God got y'all. God got all of y'all." And it was like she was whispering in my ear, and I saw her face all the way down till we hit the ground. As soon as we hit the ground in Milwaukee, it just like she appeared, she was gone. She was gone. And after that, I said, I can't fly by myself. I can't fly by myself. Somebody got to go with me. Well, we already told them about the other airplane ride and everything. And so that's what faith is. Faith is believing when you cannot see. Religion is a way for man to command and control certain parts of the community of the earth. That's why you are Jehovah's Witness, and you are Lutheran, and you are Presbyterian, and you Christian, and you Baptist, and you Jewish, and you are Hasidic Jewish person. You follow all the way. And some of y'all say, well, no, and or whatever the religions are. Whatever the religions are, whatever they are, and here in the United States, we agree to disagree. We must not agree. We must agree to not hate one another. We must agree to treat each other with dignity and respect. We need to learn how to love ourselves, take care of us, because if I'm not taking care of me, and as your doctor say, your wife takes excellent care of you, that's why you look so good today. That's why you look so good. You have to know that you deserve to be in good health. It's a right for you to be in good health, to be in good mental health. It's our responsibility to make sure we embrace our young people like Gus Walz, who has ADHD and has been very, very open about it. And I appreciate people who are willing to lay it on the line. Because what you gonna do? I can't do nothing about yesterday. I'm working on today. Let me work on today. You work on today. I don't even know if I'm gonna get tomorrow. Hell, I don't even know if I'm gonna make it through the rest of the day. One of my uncles went to work, got off his job, doing just minding his own business, walk across the street after he got off the bus, killed by a drunk driver, 11 o'clock in the morning. And I don't know if he got any time, because they said they said I wasn't a close enough relative. I'm like, well, tell that to
close
the
enough
people.
relative to go to this hearing.
Close enough relative, because it was out here in
California.
California.
To go to court to see how you were.
They told us.
Okay,
they said I wasn't close enough. They said I wasn't close enough.
Okay, but that didn't stop whoever in your family that went to court to see
how you were. No, it did not.
Did they come back and tell the rest of the family?
And she did
this gentleman,
that.
He got sentenced to a week. He got sentenced to 10 years. 5 years. Somebody went, so somebody could have reported to the rest of the family what happened. I understand them not want to, saying that you weren't close enough. I never heard that before, because going to court, anybody can go sit in the courtroom. If the court is open, I've not known where someone.
They said that we couldn't do it because I wasn't his nearest relative.
But I'm saying, just like a total stranger could walk into that courtroom and sit down and listen to the case.
Oh yeah. But they weren't going to release his body to me to flying back to Cleveland, because they said I wasn't. It was stupid on their part.
Wait a minute. So that's two different things. Wait a minute. You said they weren't going to release his body to you because you wasn't. Okay, but
I wasn't his next of kin.
Okay, but you started off saying that when it was time to go to court, that they wouldn't let you go because they said you weren't a close enough relative. See, I'm kind of confused on.
Oh no, this was all together. When he first got killed, our number was in his information.
Okay, so you didn't explain it completely. That's why.
Okay. They called me up because he was living in Northern California, and we used to talk all the time. And so when he was killed, they called me first. And they said, Mrs. So-and-so and such and such, are you the relative of so-and-so and such and such? And I said, yes, I am. What can I do for? Well, we just wanted to call and inform you that your uncle passed away, and we need you to come up north, to do whatever it was that we needed to do. So
To
when I
identify
called
the
and got the
body, maybe.
paperwork and everything, they wouldn't send me the paperwork because I told them this was my uncle. I was his niece. So they said, well, how is he your niece? How are you his niece? And I went, well, how the hell else did you become somebody's niece? Because you could.
Okay, but they don't know that they asked
Right.
because
And I said I was his niece.
You got to
And
really pretend.
He asked me. I told him I was his niece, and that they said, well, we can't release any information to you because you're not his next of kin. I said, well, who would be his next of kin? And they said, his mother, father, sisters, or brothers. That's next of kin. And I was like, okay, but his mother is my grandmother. His sister is my mama. They said still wasn't that still was not the next of kin. So anyway,
okay, you two generations removed.
Yeah, I guess. I'm like, okay.
I mean,
I would have never thought I would have ever heard the words where I wasn't his next of kin.
Okay, but they gave you at that time. They gave you an explanation.
Yeah,
why
they
you
did.
Not. I mean,
so
you may have forgotten what the explanation was, but to tell you that, I mean, it's no different when you are in one state and you travel to another state, and they tell you you have certain rights, and sometimes you don't have certain rights because the jurisdiction of this particular state is this, and because you didn't live in this state, you're not under the jurisdiction of this particular.
And that's what they told me.
State.
I live in California. I'm like, he lives in California, and they said, well, your next of kin has to come. And I was like, okay. So I called my aunt up, told her what to do, and this is what confused me about it. They called me and told me he had passed away. If they didn't think I was close enough to him, why would you call me first? Why would I have to call my aunt and tell her, okay, this is what happened, since she's considered the next of kin?
Well, I can tell you a simple reason. They had your phone number, not hers.
That was it.
That's a simple reason why.
I said,
because you and him talked to one another. That's how they could have your number and not his sister's number, because they were not in communication with one another.
And she said,
I mean, that's a simple reason why, because you and him talked. Him and his sister did not talk, so they didn't have her number. He didn't carry her number around.
No.
Maybe he wrote your number down and had it in his wallet. So he would have it. Okay. When they looked in his wallet, they said, okay, well, here's the number. Okay, we called the number. It was your number. Right. Okay. If his sister number was not in his wallet, that they would have called me and told me make them know where she was or how to get in touch with her.
Right. And so and I said, but that was that makes sense. And I was still distraught about it. And so she called up and got the arrangements, got his body shipped back to Cleveland to make sure he could have a nice burial, the whole nine. And because how we pick up, Black people pick up play cousins. I think all people pick up play brothers and sisters and cousins. Until you have to prove that. And I could prove that I was his niece. I wasn't his next of kin.
Okay, but there's no group on this planet does not have play cousins.
That's what I'm saying.
Play uncles.
That's what I'm saying.
Everybody has that, because if your parents are any kind of people, they know somebody else.
Yes, they do.
Okay, and if you're close to somebody else, that somebody else will a lot of times adopt your child as their cousin, or you call them uncle, or you call them auntie.
Okay, well, let's stay with that right there, because we're running out of time. Can you believe it? It went by so fast. I just want to thank you, Mr. Kennedy, and you, my cyber babies. You know that we love you. Tune in on tomorrow when our guest will be Lori Mitchell. She is the CEO and founder of Black Women in Technology, and to talk about how how Black women and girls can get and must get in, because we need to know as fast as the world is changing, we need to be up on the new technology, and it's moving lightning fast. Lori Mitchell, she'll be on with us tomorrow, 2:00 Pacific time, 5:00 in the Eastern time, and we're in Central time. Just Google Mother Love, and We can be found on all the platforms. We can be found on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Geo7. We can be found on iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts. We can be found on, you name it, just Google Mother Love.
10 seconds.
And remember this, no matter how big or tall, short or small, thick or thin, it matters not what skin you're in. Everybody needs some mother love now and then.